It feels like unresolved grief. It feels like resentments that I have on repeat in my mind. Like shame that I still hold on to, that hide in the little recesses of my mind and body. We go through things in life and things happen. We have feelings about things. We make choices, whatever. And then we hold on to stuff and we don't really talk about it. I've been just so acutely aware of how I feel like I'm up to here, up to my neck in decades of just being the go-to for everyone. They don't go through that. No. Like they're just sleeping like a baby.
They're able to let shit go much more than we are. And I just feel like we can't. Like we're just so hooked in for the the sandworms in Dune and the hook, right? Where you hook on and you're off. And all of a sudden you're like 500 miles south, right? That's what it feels like to me, is giant sandworm hooking.
Oh, good Lord. Welcome to Drinks with the Girls. Conversations for women over 40 around connection, change, and the power of female friendship. Living well with stories to tell. I'm Karen, and this is Lisa.
We are moms and solopreneurs stepping into our own, diving into real conversations about things that matter to women in midlife.
We're here to spill the tea on everything that affects women in their 40s and beyond. Topics like loss and grief, changing relationships, launching kids, menopause, and reinventing ourselves in midlife. We are here to tackle it all.
Connect with us through a blend of our lived experiences, our friendship, the memory of our moms, plus a collection of real stories, honest conversations, and engaging interviews that will make women over 40 feel seen and remind them that they're not alone on this journey called life. Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of Drinks with the Girls. Today we're going to be talking about something that you've heard us talk about before, a couple times actually, and that is decluttering. This is kind of our part 3 of Decluttering the Decades, and today we're going to talk about emotional decluttering in midlife. But before we really get going, we're going to let you know what we're drinking. And today, since we're recording this in the morning, I am drinking my beloved black coffee by Four Sigmatic, and it's actually supposed to help gut and brain. So, cheers.
Really? Coffee that helps that?
Yes, God, it has probiotics and turkey tail mushroom something or other.
Yeah, mushroom powder is really good. Oh, that's great, because that's always the thing with coffee, is that it messes with my stomach, so I have to be careful. And then there's days when I just don't care and it can go nuclear, but I need it to pry my eyelids open, kind of like this week.
Yes, I hear you.
What are you drinking, babe? I was going to say, do you want to know what I was thinking?
I do.
So I am almost at the end of my morning ritual here, which is my Tizzy, which is clean tox tea, so good for liver, kidneys, all that kind of stuff. And it's got a really good chamomile flavor. And then we throw an energy fizz stick in there, so all the goodness in one. And then I've got some ice water here.
So the Tizzies and the fizzies are two different things?
Yes. Important to get right.
Okay.
It's kind of like the Venn diagram, right? Tizzy in the middle, fizzy on the side. So Tizzies have fizzies in them, but they are not only fizzies. They also have the T, hence the Tizzy.
There you
go. You've been schooled.
Thank you. I have been schooled. All right. So we've talked about decluttering the closets. We've talked about, going through the things. But today we're going to kind of get into the real shit. We're going to talk about the emotional clutter that we all drag around because, in our 50s, we are holding on to decades of crap. And so we're going to talk about that today. Yeah, you can't see it stacked in the garage, but you feel it.
The way, yeah.
You feel it in your bones.
I feel like we've been dancing around this topic. Like we've decided this is a series because you guys love these episodes. And the first one we did, we talked about the difficulty in physically decluttering and kind of how we were doing it or not doing it and just like the weight emotionally. The episode we did with Natasha Kolmainen was when we really blew the roof off of that because she had some really helpful like practical decluttering tips, but we really started diving into the whole how physical clutter messes up your brain too. And you guys love that. That is our number one episode by a freaking long shot of all time. So we definitely want to have her back for sure. But on this episode, we thought we'd lean in really hard to the emotional clutter, right? As my mom used to say, she didn't say crap, but or shit, but it's basically all that shit running around in your head taking up space. So her whole thing was don't rent space in your head. So I feel like we're going to evict some renters today and kind of dive in.
Yeah, let's do it. And if you have not heard that episode with Natasha, go back and listen to it. It's gold, especially if you're like me, if you're holding on to way too much stuff and you feel in your insides the weight of holding on to that stuff. So go check out Natasha and go follow her, go see all her things.
Yeah, she's doing I believe she's doing a course coming up or a free class or something. So I'll put the link in the show notes for y'all.
Yeah.
So what does all this emotional clutter look like in midlife that we're, got the trashy tenants in our head look like?
I mean, for me, it looks like, well, I guess it more feels like than looks like, but it feels like unresolved grief. It feels like resentments that I have on repeat in my mind. Like shame that I still hold on to that hide in the little recesses of my mind and body. And these are just all things that you don't say out loud. Like we go through things in life and things happen, we have feelings about things, we make choices, whatever, and then we hold on to stuff and we don't really talk about it. And also like the need to be there for everyone. Like this is really showing up big for me. We just recorded an episode on trauma where I let y'all know that I call it a meltdown, but it wasn't really a meltdown. It was just literally this point where I got to where it was like, holy shit, something needs to change because I feel like my head is going to blow off my body. And I went to a rage room and my kids were with me and it was this whole thing. But for me, a lot of this emotional clutter is just holding on to the need to be there for everyone, like to be the perfect mom, to be the one that is just the go-to and always has her shit together, right? And so, it starts showing up as like headaches, not able to sleep, irritability. That's how I was. That's what led to my meltdown. I was fucking irritable. And I'm like, what is going on? Because I'm a pretty happy person normally. So I don't know. What about you, Lisa? How does it show up for you? What does it look like?
I feel like me, and this is kind of a spoiler alert. So there's a book review we're going to do on a book called Buy Yourself the Fucking Lilies by Tara Schuster. And I won't get into it too much, but for me, it really is about the what ifs. Like, what if this? What if that? And it's not good, right? And she talks about that in the book as just like, who cares? Like, move on, right? So for me, that is really the kind of stuff that stops me in my tracks. And I think a lot of it has to do with my situation. Like, I'm the sole breadwinner. I've got, 3 people with mental illness that I'm living with. Like, a lot of it is just like, that's the real shit that I'm dealing with. But I think that the anxiety that I've had during my life has always been about the what ifs. Like, what if this? What if that? What if we don't have the money to pay for this? Like, what if I lose my job? What if this? What if that? And it's friggin' paralyzing. And I cannot seem to clear those cobwebs away. And I've really been working hard the last few years on just saying, we'll figure it out. Like, just put one foot forward after the other. Like, you don't have to have it all frickin' figured out, right? So that's the stuff that really weighs me down and just keeps me paralyzed. I say that's probably the number one thing for my head trash. And, I can relate to everything you're talking about, and not that that isn't a factor for me too, but in the in the mud wrestling battle for top of mind, it's the what ifs that win.
Oh my God, that's such a visual.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, no, yes, that's a good one. It's almost like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
100% all
Yeah.
the time. And it's like
Yeah.
my nervous system has really a hard time just fully relaxing. I mean, like, I'm
Yeah.
getting a massage tomorrow and I've got to consciously go in there and be like, okay, just let it go. Like, just try to relax, right?
Yeah.
Like, I joke about meditating for me being tough. I have to do something else like crochet or work out or whatever, because I've got to get that part of my brain that gets what if to death occupied so I can be relaxed. I mean, the struggle is real for me for sure.
Crocheting is meditation.
Mhm.
Like
Yep.
100%.
It really goes back to I have to keep that what if part of my brain occupied with something that doesn't take a lot of thought, right? I'm walking on the outside or I'm crocheting, and that rote kind of nature of it helps me unhook. And then I can just breathe into the other stuff.
Yeah. The thing that you said that struck me really is the fact that we as women have to do this like deliberately. Like we have to make a conscious choice to for you to go into your massage, for you to just really be in the mind space where you can accept that and you can just let go and just, feel good for an hour. Like I said, I've been just so acutely aware of how I feel like I'm up to here, up to my neck in decades of just being the go-to for everyone. And so I'm aware of all these little things. And so we had to take a dog to the vet last week, and I'm on the phone with my sister talking about my dad because he's had some really terrible health issues, and so we're trying to figure out a plan and whatnot. And so Tony's running around like trying to get the dog ready for the vet, and he can't find the leash. And so he's asking me like about the leash. And in my mind, I'm like, go just find the fucking leash.
Find the leash. I don't
right?
know.
So I literally had to deliberately, instead of rescuing and being like, oh, okay, it's over here, blah, 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 be like, no, I'm going to continue having this conversation with my sister. He can just figure it out, and guess what? He did. But,
Yep.
and so, I mean, that's a minute little example, but I just feel like we have to do that because we're so used to doing 400 things at one time. We're good at it. We can do it. We can have the conversation about dad's medication. We can find the leash. We can,
Yep.
cook dinner. We can hop on one foot and pat our head and, look
But
cute doing it. But yes.
just
Mhm.
because we're good at it
Yes.
doesn't mean we should be doing it. And
Correct.
the pathological part of that is the reason we got good at it is because we felt like we didn't have a choice. It's not like we were like, oh, I'm going to get really good at multitasking, right?
Right.
Like, I will never forget sitting in my classroom, my locked classroom, with a sign on the door that said, pumping, right? Don't come in. And I'm pumping breast milk on the phone with the parent, eating my lunch and answering my email, right? And my husband literally came in because he would come see me at lunch. He was working at a school nearby. And he literally walked in, stopped, and was like, okay, I can't handle this. And turned around and left. And I was like, oh, must be nice, right? Like, we get into tiffs because I'm like, how can you just roll over and go to sleep? Makes me crazy.
Right.
Makes me fucking crazy. He will be over there just sleeping like a baby in 30 seconds. And I'm just like trying to like de-escalate my vibration enough to just take the medication I need to fall asleep. Like, that's so messed up. So messed up. But
And that's the thing. And again, we don't like to bash the men in our lives because we love them. But like, they don't go through that.
No.
Like, they're just sleeping like a baby.
They're able to let shit go much more than we are. Like, I don't feel like my husband has I mean, not that he doesn't care. Like, he does that, obviously we're going to make ends meet and that we're dealing with all this stuff right now and blah, blah, blah. It's not that he doesn't care, but they are able to push that aside and watch the funny video on YouTube or go to sleep or whatever and just seemingly unhook like that. Like, they can separate that stuff really easily. And I just feel like we can't. Like, we're just so hooked in for I said this before at the other episode, the sandworms in Dune and the hook, right? Where you hook on and you're off. And all of a sudden you're like 500 miles south, right? That's what it feels like to me is giant sandworm hooking.
Oh, good Lord. Yes. Yeah. And I think, honestly, like, the way that we have to change this is by changing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like you said, just because we can do it all and we can do it well most times doesn't mean that we have to do it all.
Yeah.
But guess what happens? When you start trying to not do it all, that good girl voice thing comes in your head and makes you feel guilty. Because I see this like when my adult kids come over. And I think this has to do also with the fact that I'm not living in the house they grew up in, right? So for some reason, I feel like they're a guest in my home
You
instead
have
of,
to go on guest mode. Yeah.
yes, that I have to go on guest mode. Like I have to, make them all the meals and I have to do all the things, and which I don't mind doing sometimes. But I feel like if I was still living in the home they grew up in, they'd like walk in the door, go to the kitchen, grab food, fry up the bacon, and they'll do it here to a certain extent. And honestly, it's my stuff. It's not theirs. Like they're wonderful. They're more than willing to help, but it's my own
Yeah.
guilt and those tapes that are on repeat in my brain.
Yeah. And
So
just a little truth bomb. Maybe they don't feel like there's space to just go into the refrigerator and do it. Maybe they, I mean, I have no idea, but maybe it's, it's like, okay, well, that's mom's fridge. It's not mine anymore. I don't know. Like we have all these unconscious rules that we set up. And I mean, to kind of take it back to the idea of emotional clutter, it it is such a powerful metaphor, right? Because when your house is cluttered, we've talked about this. You can't find things, you're stressed out, stuff happens. Da, da. It's the same kind of thing. Like when you have all that clutter in your brain, it's really hard to clear a path and be like, hey, daughter Peyton, when you come over, I really need you guys to buy your own snacks and booze and all that because we're on this health kick. And you did it, and she did, and no one died.
yeah,
But
sure.
to get to that point where you had to say that, it was like moving all the boxes and organizing the damn closet so you could get space in your head to be able to say that.
Hey there, I'm Lisa Coricella McDowell, your midlife Pacific Northwest princess, here to guide you in the art of next leveling your life. I'm passionate about women's health and wellness in midlife, especially for moms parenting kids with unique needs like I do. I truly believe we can learn, grow, advocate, and care for the planet while taking care of ourselves and our families. And I'd love to help you do the same. And I'm beyond excited to tell you about my membership for maxed out mamas just like me, the Empowered Parent Collective. It's a space for parents to confidently advocate for their kids, build inclusive communities, educate themselves, and find balance and support along the way. To find out more about the Empowered Parent Collective, my classes, wellness offerings, parenting tips, advocacy resources, and exclusive drinks with the girls goodies, head to nextlevellifewithlisa.com. Let's survive and thrive in the messy middle together.
I'm telling you, this metaphor of the physical clutter is so apt because, when we did our decluttering in the house, and I told you I hired a professional declutterer, best thing I ever did. And that was the step it's like, that's what I would get stuck on is I didn't have systems. I didn't have places for stuff. So when I tried to like declutter a box, it's like there wasn't anywhere for it to go. And I feel like it's the exact same damn thing goes on in your head. Like you try to make these changes and do these stuff, but all that stuff in your head just keeps you from really doing it and feeling free and able to do it.
Yeah. Free, that word, free. I think the first step is recognizing it. How many women just go through and power through and feel like something's wrong with them if they want to get rid of some of this emotional clutter, if they want to just lay around and let somebody take care of them for a minute, or let go of some of the emotional load that we all carry, right? Like, I mean, the first step is acknowledging it. It's like, when you go to AA or something, it's like acknowledging that you have a problem and then trying to take a step to do something for you.
Yeah.
Put energy into it.
Something Alex Casillas on our trauma episode that dropped last week about just the negotiating that goes on in a relationship. And she was like, I have a great partner. She does. I love her husband. Like he and I taught for years and years. We're really tight. He's wonderful. But she was saying even with that, there was all this negotiating, things like that. And it's like, it's this dichotomy of wanting them to think of it. Like you make dinner. Don't ask me if you can make, like just friggin' do it. Right. But at the same time, that clutter in our brain, it just, well, I don't want to have to ask them. Right. Like, yeah, I get it. But there's certain steps that have to be taken, right? And so it's this passive aggressive kind of like, well, they should just know. I shouldn't have to say it versus fine, I'll just do it.
I mean, I totally can relate with that. I've talked multiple times on this podcast about my whole thing when it comes to cooking and asking Tony to help me and not wanting to feel responsible just to be, I'm always the go-to just because I'm the woman, right? It's like, oh, she'll always just have it figured out. Like Monday nights when we record our podcast, like if he doesn't do something for dinner, then when we're done, we just have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something, and it's like,
and
okay,
nobody dies.
nobody dies and nobody cares. I'm just over letting it take up space in my brain.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, it is what it is. And I mean, also that goes with that is the constant tending that women do. Like we're buying the birthday cards for the kids' friends, and maybe we have a friend that's going through something. And of course we have to, we're helping our parents out. We're helping our kids out,
Yep.
and it's just the constant tending, even though we love our people and we
Yep.
love taking care of our people. It's
Yep.
not that we don't. It just gets to be where it's too much.
Yeah. And I think like it's this practice of starting to just let shit go,
Yes.
And I've had to do that with like the house and stuff like that, right? Like I have let go of cleaning my kitchen and doing dishes and just stepping away from it. And it kills me a lot of the time. But I had to just make a decision because I cannot frickin' do it all. And I knew that that was something that he could handle, that he can do, that didn't require like organizing stuff or whatever. And I have had to just live with the fact that leftovers don't get put away at night unless I go over there and do them. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. The kitchen usually looks like a bomb went off in the morning, right? I have to let go of, I had my food dehydrator out as I was you'll laugh, as I was frantically putting the cherry tomatoes that I had dried so they wouldn't go bad before my 4 a.m. departure to the airport for my business trip. And
Good Lord.
Yeah. And then put those in the freezer and was running late. So left the dehydrator on the stove thinking, someone would move it when they were cooking something.
Oops.
And it came back to be melted in. My husband's like, we can still use it. I'm like, it doesn't fit together properly anymore. So, had to spend $89 on a new one. And, is that annoying? Absolutely. Is it frustrating that I had to spend money on? Absolutely. But it's like, that's the kind of shit you just have to let go because no one died. Okay. It was an $89 food dehydrator. Is it annoying? Absolutely. But like, it's all relative. And I think that we are so worked up about like anything going wrong or anything being done differently. And frankly, if we're having a truth bomb with ourselves, having it done differently than we would do it and calling that not as good, like that is all on us. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm learning to try and let go of that shit and just be like, look, you have a choice. You can either burn yourself out or let other people do it and be okay with the fact that sometimes the dehydrator is going to get broke.
Yeah. I mean, that is such a great way to kind of get rid of emotional clutter, right? Like some of the things that we're talking about is like letting go of stuff, whether it's something like that or, letting go of past grudges or grievances or, letting go of just something that you're holding on too tight. I'm like the queen of overthinking. And so I had to get really good at realizing that is not a good habit that serves me. Like overplaying every single conversation in my mind that I had with somebody is just, that does not serve me. It just makes me insane. And so I just had to get good at my self-trust and believing that like whatever was said in the conversation, I was true to myself. I said what needed to be said. And also trusting that the other person, if they had a problem with something that I said, that they would let me know. And then I could clean it up if I needed to. But just to stop the
madness.
Stop the madness because it doesn't affect them. It affects you,
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. And it's interesting. I just got this flash and you and I have both been going through it. So just a little window into our behind the scenes life. So Karen and I both have outside businesses. Y'all know this, right? And one of the things that they really talk about when you run a business that's primarily online is this idea of niching down. And what that means is getting really specific about who you are serving, right? And what's difficult about it is you have this thing about like, I want to be all the things because I want to I want my business to appeal to as many people as possible. So I can't like cut this part out because then I'm keeping myself away from all these clients, right? And so for me, I had to make some decisions about what parts of my business I was focusing on and how that worked together. And that looks like even things as specific as my newsletter and what I want to highlight and what I want to do, right? I won't speak for Karen, but she's recently gone through a rebrand and she can tell you that in her own words, but that was basically over the idea of niching down and saying, well, I don't want to be known as just this. And just the whole like metamorphosis and process she went through to get to the point where she was niching down. And I feel like this is a really kind of parallel process to what we're talking about. But again, I'm not going to put words in her mouth. I'll let her talk about that.
For me, it was more like I have things to say to a different group of people. I started really just doubling down on my divorce content and, talking mostly to my divorce girlies or my girlies who are considering or putting the pieces back together, because I've been there and I have things to say about that. And I was holding back for so long. And a lot of that had to do with the fear of being visible. I don't want to take this, down a different road and veer too far away from the emotional clutter piece. But one way that I had to feel better about, I guess we could call it emotional clutter, but it's like just being true to myself and just literally speaking my truth and stop trying to, throw my net so wide.
Yeah.
Because that's how you burn out.
I also want to gently remind you that way back when, you got some feedback from someone that was like, oh, so if you become my coach, are you going to make me get divorced? Right? And that stuck with you, right? And you're like, oh gosh, well, no, that's not what I want to do at all. And so really, quote unquote, again, niching down and focusing on that was a battle you had to fight in your head for a long time to get to the point where you're like, no, this is what I want to say. And I want to say it to these people. And again, no forks left to give kind of thing, right? But I honestly believe that this, I know we go on our tangents, y'all. Like, I'm there for that. But I don't think this is tangential at all. I think that emotional clutter affects literally every part of us, from just our day-to-day lives to how we run our businesses to the choices we make to the dreams we put on hold. Like, that impacts all of it. And it's sometimes, it's sad. There are women that never, ever, ever get past that clutter. And I feel like that was my mom. Like, it breaks my heart. I feel like she had so much of that in there that she really never got past it. And, when she got sick, it just felt like a betrayal of everything that she believed in. And, I love my mom to death, but I just swore that was one of the life lessons I learned from her passing. It's like, that will not be me. I will not live my life with regrets. I will not live my life feeling like, I betrayed myself. No.
That's it right there. It's the self-betrayal. Mm-hmm. It's the self-abandonment.
Yep.
And I think it's so hard for women it's like we have to learn how to trust ourselves. We have to learn how to not abandon ourselves, to prioritize ourselves. And, to your point about, my business and focusing more on, the divorce side, I was not confident in myself. I was, that good girl conditioning was coming out because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yep.
I didn't want to say the hard truth. And guess what? If you work with me, you might get a fucking divorce. And now I can say that.
Yeah.
And before I didn't think that was okay. But now, the reality is some women need to get divorced.
Yeah.
And so, I think, circling back, it's just my own self-doubt and my own limiting beliefs. And that, they say, and the surest way to really dive into self-development and personal growth is to start a business. Because all your wounds, no joke.
It's so
all
true.
Your wounds show up. All your visibility wounds,
yep.
all your self-doubt. Who do I think I am? Nobody cares what I have to say. Literally. So, and luckily I've had wonderful coaches that I've worked with, throughout, and they help you see that because, you have to see what your blind spots are. And yes, all that emotional clutter shows up in your relationships, your self-talk, your business, just like you said, your dreams. Do you believe you can be that thing you want? And if all that emotional clutter is running the show, then probably not.
My name is Karen Shatafian, and I am a shameless coffee addict and empowerment coach for women, and my love language is authenticity. My mission is helping women unapologetically design a life they're in love with. Because what the hell are we waiting for? My website, KarenShatafian.com, has all my coaching packages and free offers like my midlife reclamation guide. In it, you'll find tools to help you decide how to create the most inspired and empowered version of yourself and your life. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram talking about ways women can show up for themselves after decades of showing up for everyone else. Join me as we throw off the shackles and live our best freaking lives. See the show notes for all the details. Cheers.
Just that visual of like the boulder in the road, right? And the obstacles and like, how bad do you want this? Being an entrepreneur and a solopreneur and just any kind of anything that where you're just out on your own like that is fucking scary. And there are so many times I ask myself, and I'm sure you do, Karen, like, what the hell am I doing? Like, wouldn't it be easier to just like crawl back and really, just don't do anything but my corporate job and move on? And I think in a lot of ways it would be easier. But again, it's that self-betrayal. It's that I'm not going to be on my deathbed looking back and saying, damn it, I wish I had done that.
Yes.
And for me, I know I couldn't live with myself. And so that's kind of what helps me push past when I'm like, Jesus, is anybody going to hear me shouting into the void? But it's that double-edged sword. Like I remember when we were doing our divorce episode, right? Like we've all, again, this podcast has made us accountable in ways that I don't think either one of us ever really thought was going to happen. And, we were doing a particular episode on divorce and we put it off because Karen really wanted to do it, but she also was really uncomfortable with it. And of course, I respected that. And it was this idea of being visible about her feelings and not wanting to feel like the villain or the bad person. And you talked about that in the last episode. And then I remember when we did it and you were like, okay, can I listen to it before you edit it? I said, absolutely. And I let you listen to it and you were just like, I don't know what the hell I was so worried about, right? But just that fear of being visible about that clutter. It's like, it's something that's got to be hidden away because what if people judge you? I mean, it's so toxic.
It actually wasn't that. It was my kids. My reluctance to really dive into the divorce stuff is because of my kids.
That makes sense.
I want to protect them. And also my ex. Like, I'm not trying to run him through the ringer.
Exactly.
That was my hesitation and always was. And then I got to the point where it's like, I've been divorced for 8 years and everybody just needs to kind of move on because I have things to say and I can help women. That episode was the first time I really just put it all out there.
Yeah.
And that's uncomfortable. But it's in doing little things like that, no matter what you're dealing with, no matter what little piece of emotional clutter, it's flipping the script and changing it one little baby step at a time. And that's how, you can start to unpack the emotional clutter.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it goes back to the mission of our podcast and the title of it. Like when you go out and you have drinks with your girls or coffee or whatever the heck that is, like you don't sit there and go, oh yeah, pass the salt. Like, oh, the weather's really nice. Da-da-da. No, you like let it all hang out. You are raw and real. And that's a function of that particular event, right? Is to talk to someone and feel like they have your back and feel heard and work through some of this stuff that's sloshing around in your head. And, for us to really get to the point where we found our feet with the podcast and, we've talked about this with the gratitude episode, right? And getting to the point where we're like, we don't have to script everything down to the freaking like adjectives and just literally in the middle of an episode, toss the script out and be like, all right, let's go for it. And having that confidence and number one, feeling like people thought that we did have something to say and wanted to listen to it. There was that kind of fear, feeling like we had made a commitment to be really vulnerable and real and honest and not sharing things that we weren't comfortable with sharing, but being accountable for this stuff that we say. Like, you guys know, we tell you about all sorts of crap, because you're our girls and we're having drinks with you. So I think there's this kind of, I guess what I'm rambling around to try to say is I feel like there's this dichotomy between the clutter gets in our way, but in a lot of ways, the clutter is this, what am I trying to say? We trick ourselves into believing that the clutter keeps us safe. I can't do X because of all these things. And if I do X, then that clutter is telling me, oh my gosh, there's horrible things that are going to happen. So we're just kind of imprisoned in our attic with a bunch of like
stale, moldy boxes. And it's tough to get past that point. I don't know. Maybe I'm like belaboring the metaphor, but
No, it's perfect. And I think we are our own worst enemy because yes, are we conditioned a certain way as women? Yes. Do we have to deal with that for our lives? Yes. And then we've talked about this before. The beautiful part of getting to midlife is you start to really, recognize that and kind of not give a fuck as much.
Yeah.
Like what I was talking about with my meltdown and my just total not even feeling like I was myself because I just felt like I didn't have anything left to give. And I was so afraid of showing my kids that side of me, and they were here yesterday and I told them, I said, I just wanted to thank you for allowing me to just be this imperfect mom, just to be this person, not even to really be your mom in that moment. Cause I was trying to parent myself. It's such a gift for me, that they allow that.
No, and I know what you mean. It is interesting. This reminds me of, like I told you guys, I got a professional declutter organizer in. Best thing I ever did. It was, it was a chunk of cash, but we felt like we had to do it or we were going to lose our minds. And they're really good. Like they prepare and they specialize in families with special needs, which is amazing. So they send this video to you to just to prepare, like, oh, okay, you need this and these supplies and blah, 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 blah. And like the last part of the video is like, are you feeling stressed out right now? Are you nervous? You probably are. It's totally normal. Like we have seen the emotional breakdowns. We've seen people like break down and cry. Like we've seen all the things. So just know that this is completely normal. And I remember texting them the night before and I was just like, oh my God, thank you so much for saying this because the closer this gets, the more terrified I am of like, oh God, like, and there's like, it's a huge emotional trip. And they were so wonderful in leading me through that. And then, there's everything from the fear of like, well, shit, what if I get rid of something I'm going to need later, right? Like, what is this, depression? Right. And because I was so busy, I had to let my husband really be the go-to with them. And he had to make some decisions on stuff. And yes, spoiler alert, there were things that were gotten rid of that probably shouldn't be, like the part of the ice cream maker that makes it work. No one died. Like the antique table that my aunt died, that's one of the only things I have left from her. That was a problem. But guess what? We solved the problem. The organizer had a relationship with the thrift store we donated it to, called them up, they held it, and she brought it back. Like, again, no one's gonna freaking die. And guess what? Now I'm like, oh my God, this is so much easier. I know where shit is and the house is not getting as cluttered. Like we still are going through the process, but I think that tension between the fear of letting this stuff go versus our frustration with the fact that it's still there, that tug of war is real. And I think that's why, you had your meltdown, like, that's why we get so angry and frustrated because we just feel like we can't make that decision. Like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get rid of this? But, oh gosh, it's keeping me safe. Just all that crap,
Yeah. For me, I keep hearing like permission. Like,
yes.
Like, I just think we just need to give ourselves that permission, to let go of some of the stuff. And I love how your barometer is no one died. It's like no one died. So it's a win. It's a good day. No one died. And honestly, I think, it's funny, but it's so true. Like we make these things in our mind way more important than they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and granted, through our social, our conditioning and whatnot, some of those things turn into habits and they're really hard to get rid of. But it's just giving ourselves permission to not be the perfect mom. It's just giving yourself permission to just let go of some of the shit. I mean, I'm working on letting go of the physical shit still, listeners, but what are they called? Organizational specialists.
Amazing people. Yes.
Amazing people. They gave you permission to feel what you were feeling. And it's like, it's okay. Just like my kids gave me permission to just be, this human. And I don't know. I'm a big fan of permission and I know it's hard sometimes, but sometimes that's what it takes. Just that permission to try something different, try something new, let go of something and not fucking worry about it. You'll figure it out. You'll get the desk back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, again, no one died. Now,
I want to be Debbie Downer just for a little bit. So we all know that this doesn't come from anywhere. It doesn't just like magically appear in our heads, right? The societal conditioning. We've talked a little bit about it. So long story short, I'm sure most people have heard about this book that's really ripping a hole through society right now called The Anxious Generation. And I haven't read it yet. It's on my list. But the idea is basically like the fact that kids are tethered to their phone all the time is having a huge, massive impact on society, right? It's back to school when we're recording this. And like, I can't think of a state that isn't enacting cell phone laws. Like my daughter just had a meltdown about it last night and like, I'm calling the governor. And then I was like, yeah, whatever, you know? And what's interesting is I was talking to her therapist about this and I said, oh, is this the premise? She said, yeah. I said, oh, I really want to read it. But what she said, the biggest thing that struck her is the research shows how much more damaging this is for girls than for boys. She's like, the divide is staggering. Like, yes, it is bad for kids in general to be on their phone 24/7, but how this affects girls is just brutal. And I can't help but think that whole idea of like dousing yourself with social media all the time and dousing yourself with like influencers and that whole like you have to be perfect and this is this and the cyberbullying, all that really toxic crap. Like the minute they get that phone, they are immersed in that world. And I can't help but be concerned that while this is really tough for us to declutter that headspace in midlife, I worry about the generations that are coming of age during this time and how much harder they are going to have to work to do this. And honestly, like I was secretly really kind of glad that they got banned. And it was so great because my daughter's having this meltdown. I'm like, sorry, it's what the governor says.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yep. You're going to have to put it in a magnetic pouch and they'll lock it up. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry. Not my fault. And it was like, oh, phew. Something else she can't blame me for.
Okay, quick pause. Have we talked about the Pod Squad lately?
Oh, the Pod Squad. You mean our email list /VIP lounge /digital wine club?
Exactly. So listeners, if you're not on it yet, you're basically making life harder for yourself when it comes to podcasts.
Like trying to scroll for show notes while speed walking on a treadmill. Wait, what was that link again? Oh, no. Grab the side rails.
Or pulling up that book we mentioned while you're in the Starbucks line and then realizing everybody else moved up 3 cars and now you're that woman.
We've all been there. That's why we made the Pod Squad. You'll get new episode alerts every week with direct links. Easy to listen, easy to share.
And show notes straight to your inbox. So when we drop a life-changing product, book, hot tip, or yummy new drink, you're not rummaging through your memory like a woman searching for her reading glasses when they're on top of her head.
It's organized, it's helpful, it's for you, babes.
So join the Pod Squad. The link is in the show notes. Just tap it.
Snacks, sarcasm, solidarity.
And obviously, fighting the patriarchy.
We write at dawn.
It's going to be interesting in the next, 10, 20, 30 years to really see the repercussions of the toxicity of, having social media available 24/7 to these little developing brains, hearts.
Yep. Like we held out as long as we could. I think my daughter was 11 and my son was 14. Yeah. Before we got them phones. And, I think in a lot of ways it was good because she had a rough middle school and it was helped her to kind of touch base with me. But I don't know, man.
Yeah. Well, also think about it for us as adults. Like I know when I start doom scrolling on my beloved Instagram, things pop up that don't always feel good for me, that don't make me feel good. And so, and sometimes it takes a minute to even recognize what's happening. It's like I've had to follow a lot of midlife influencers because I don't like the way I feel when I engage with their account, right? It doesn't make me feel good about aging naturally or whatever. So, and that's just like a little example. But like, for kids who
you mean unfollow, not follow, right?
Oh, did I say follow?
Okay, I was like, wait, where's? Yeah, I think
no, unfollow.
I might be crazy. Yes, that makes sense. Okay, on the same
unfollow.
train as you now. I get it.
On the same train. Yeah. So yeah, I just think that's just, and that's honestly, that's one way you can get rid of some of your emotional fucking clutter is only engage with things, whether it's social media or things you do in your day or people or whatever that make you feel good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I don't have any time for stuff that doesn't make me feel good.
No, for sure. And actually, it's so interesting because when we're recording this, it's the week that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce announced their engagement. And okay, front page, New York Times, like all this stuff, right? And there's this meme that his podcast posted, which I thought was hysterical. And it was the picture of them in the flower garden. And then it was Jason Kelce, like photoshopped in the corner at a Chiefs game with his shirt off, just going, yes. And then the tagline was how everybody feels about this news. And I know a lot of people like who are maybe not Swifties or whatever just roll their eyes, but I really believe that, yeah, there's the whole side of like the mega stars are getting married, but I also really believe that people have been craving, just begging for good news that is just happy and doesn't involve some country bombing another country or some political candidate saying something. And I honestly believe that the outpouring of love and affection and happiness for these two people has a lot to do with people are just so friggin' grateful for something that's top of mind, that's just about love and happiness and dreams do come true kind of thing. And people can be cynical, that's fine, whatever. But yeah, I just feel like as a society, we've really craved that and that's happening. So
yes,
but
agreed.
that doesn't always show up, right? A lot of it is like you said, is this other stuff that just contributes to the head trash.
Yeah. So I think we should probably land the plane. We always like to leave you guys with some takeaways. That's what we try to do for you. So you can hopefully leave this episode a little bit better than when you got here. So what are some ways, like, do you have any go-to ways, Lisa? Or what are some things that we can do to just kind of reduce some of this emotional clutter that we have?
Again, not to beat a dead horse, but we've got this episode coming up on this book. And I mean, I'll talk about it during the episode, but there are a lot of practical ways she talks about in here doing this. And so I won't spoil that thunder, but I do think there are specific things that you have to do. I mean, I am not good at it. I will just put it out there, right? I am not an expert for sure. But for me, I think what it's been about is just getting to the point where I've had enough. Like, I've talked about this before, just like I am sick and tired of worrying about stuff. I am sick and tired of being anxious all the time. I am sick and tired about worried how we're going to make ends meet. And just getting to that point where that was the overriding emotion. And I had to just be like, all right, move on, And I think it's that, I think you do have to get to a point where you're sick of it enough to do something about it because it is a hard thing to do. And I mean, I would love to be. Yeah.
That's what I meant when we had our trauma part 2 episode, because you had asked, well, what, when people come to you, like, what is it that finally makes them come to you to start working with you? And they get tired of their own bullshit. And I know that sounds kind of crass and it's not very like eloquent or nurturing or whatever, but it's true. It's like they are just at this point where they are so unhappy with something in their life and what they're doing isn't working. And they wave the white flag and they're like, I need some help. It's like, you just have to get to that point where you're just like, okay, I'm done. I'm done with this.
The irony of the struggling journaler in me will become apparent in just a second. But there's some questions that Karen wrote down, because we don't script our episodes anymore. We put in stuff that we want to cover and questions and different kinds of things that we can just refer to. But I want to read these because I feel like no bullshit aside, like they would be good to journal on and at least consider and start this process. And so the 3 were, number 1, what grudges or old hurts are still lingering and why are we holding on to them? Number 2, what's the difference between forgiving for them versus forgiving for ourselves? And the 3rd one is, how can we declutter without needing closure from someone else? I just think those are so freaking powerful. And that is not something you're just going to be able to answer. But again, from the struggling journaler, I think those would be really good things to journal on and just start that process. And, when you ask the question, what are some things that listeners can do? I think you have to start thinking about what keeps you hooked to the sandworm.
flying
Yeah.
500 miles down the road. Like you have to figure out, I think, the why of how you got to be stuck in the middle of that before you can start making the decision about which box to keep and which box to throw out.
Yes. Journaling is one of my favorite tools and practices. And it's not for everybody. It doesn't bring the same kind of relief for everybody. And so I think even if journaling is not your thing, even just, taking the questions that Lisa mentioned or any other, journal prompts that you find, and it's like just thinking about it and just, having like a little conversation with yourself about it. If writing is not your thing or you don't want to write it down, or like when you go on a walk, don't listen to a podcast, don't listen to music. I know it's difficult, but literally just be in conversation with yourself. Because the only way that we can figure out, why is this happening, is if we get to know ourselves. How is this serving me? Why did I start doing this? What is it doing for me? It's not serving me anymore. I need to figure out how to change it. Self-awareness and self-reflection is the way that we're going to be able to unhook from any of this emotional clutter. So journaling for me, and also, like I mentioned, the rage room
I was
that I
just
went
going to
to.
stay, like break some shit in a
Yes.
rage room.
Oh my gosh. That is one of the most immediate therapeutic techniques that I've done. That's fun. Like it's, because journaling's not always fun. It's hard. And meditation, same thing, right? But man, going to a rage room, spending 20 minutes smashing shit with a bat, I mean, there's something to that. So I highly recommend it.
And you're decluttering, literally.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you start smashing your own stuff.
Yeah, there's something kind of like, I don't know, interesting about the idea of like, do they take like donations of shit?
Yeah. Oh, they do. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so great, right? So like, there's another place you can like get rid of your crap too, right? Like there's something
Yes.
very poetic about getting rid of crap and donating it for someone to take the rage out on. I love that idea.
Yes, exactly. I think also getting into pleasure, that's one of my go-tos. Allowing yourself to feel good, like allowing yourself to do things that feel good. Make a choice to do something to feel good. Like you're doing your massage.
Yep.
You have to get yourself mentally ready, but you're choosing you. And I think that's what women over 40, over 50, over 60, that's what we need. We need permission to choose ourselves, to, kind of disconnect from some of these roles that we've been in, some of these patterns we have on repeat in our brain. And, like you talked about earlier, no regrets. I don't want to get to the end of this life and have regrets.
And it's interesting, and I think Karen would agree with me, the relationship for those of you that have daughters that we have with our daughters, part of it is a responsibility that we both feel to give them choices and options that we didn't feel like we had or didn't do well. Like I think back to what your daughter said about like, I'm the me that you wish you were in your 20s, which I just freaking love.
Yeah.
But this idea of, oh, thank God my daughter's cell phone is getting banned. Like trying to help her start unhooking now and giving, I mean, she's already in therapy, right? She has been since she's been 8. And giving her those tools and starting the process of telling her it's okay to unhook from that stuff and really doing it for myself so I can set the example and make sure that this isn't generational trauma like we talked about in the last episode. So yeah, I mean, I think I say as simple as, but I think the first step is just the first step, right?
Yeah.
Think about
Yep.
like one of the takeaways is think about one thing you'd like to let go of. For me, I started with the the kitchen's not going to look perfect. What is your equivalent of that?
For me, it's the thing I've been talking about this whole episode, but it's just I don't have to be a good mom. I don't have to be a perfect mom. I mean, yeah, I do have to be a good mom. I don't want to say that. I like being a good mom. I don't have to be a perfect mom. I'm allowed to be human. I'm allowed to have emotions. I'm allowed to not want to take care of everybody all the time. It's giving myself that permission. And that's a hard thing to say out loud. Like, I don't know that that's necessarily something that I would go and sit down with my girlfriends and talk about. Like, oh yeah, I'm signing up to be a less than perfect mom. Because I just don't think we don't talk about that as women. Because I feel like there's a lot of shame around being a bad mom.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it goes back to like
that judgment of what's a bad mom and what's a good mom. Like,
Yeah.
I think you're a good mom for choosing to unhook from this and being a
Yeah.
role model for Peyton and
For sure.
being able to show up for your kids as a whole and complete person where you're not resentful and you're not like, oh my God, I got to cook the meals for them. Like, I think that there's beauty and freedom in being like, I'm going to make the choice. And being a good mom means I show up present and happy and just looking forward to seeing them rather than stuck in this whole head trash of, oh, to be a good mom, I've got to like have dinner waiting on the table when they get there. Right. And only you can do that. Only you can say, well, that is being a good mom.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But that's not what we learn.
100%. It's not
Yeah.
easy for sure. But
And it's not them. It's me. It's my.
Exactly. That's what I'm
because
saying.
And let me tell you also, when I tell women about this rage room, when I tell them for the first time what I did and why I did it, honestly, they look at me with pity. They look at me, it's like oh, wow, she's lost it. She's lost her mind. Like what? Oh, she had, And so that too, because then of course I get in my own head. It's like, oh my God, maybe something is wrong with me. Am I the only mom that feels this way? Am I the only? I posted a reel on my rage room experience, and it's literally talking about all these things, that I've done for decades. That is why I have to go to the rage room. And it's less, and I felt a lot of guilt around that too. So it's just hard to get away from.
Do they do birthday parties? Asking for a friend.
I'm sure.
Like, your birthday's coming up. I know you're going to Hawaii and all, but I don't know. I think having a birthday party at the rage room with drinks might be a really good idea. I could get into that.
I don't know about drink. I don't know if drinks is a good idea with the rage room.
Drinks after.
Yeah. No, I need to decompress. So we're doing Hawaii for the birthday. I've done the rage room. Now I'm going to do, relaxing, decompressing,
Step 1,
all that.
Step 2.
Yes.
Totally.
Totally.
All right, listeners. Well, I think that this is a continual topic that we're going to keep coming back to. That's my theory on like why some of these episodes have really resonated with you. And we do want to have Natasha back for sure. So again, this is the part where you let us know how you feel. Like, what's some of the crap in your head that you need to have decluttered? What are you struggling with? What would you like to see us do in the next episode in this series? Join the Pod Squad. The link is in the notes, right? We have all our links there. You will get episodes every week. We have made it now so the vast majority of our show notes are only through the Pod Squad. And again, we're doing that not to be limiting, but because we're trying to develop an email list to be a really good communication tool that you can really only do if you have that email list. We're not spamming you. We're not selling it. Just please go down there, subscribe. We're not going to fill your email with crap, right? You can then forward it to girlfriends. You can share it with people. Just, I know we don't ask for much, but please, 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 you guys did so great with the reviews. So please do it now.
Yeah, and keep those 5-star reviews coming also. And share with a girlfriend. Just when you see our cute little clips on Instagram or Facebook, just forward it. Put it in your stories. Share it to somebody who needs to hear it. Help us grow this community. And as always, we appreciate you. We appreciate you taking time to be with us. And we look forward to seeing you next time. So cheers.
Cheers.